Hey guys, just going to explain how this is going to work. We are acutely aware of your deadlines, and you're going to hear from one of our officers as well as one of our detectives. Where's my detective? Okay. Let's balance this out a little bit. How about you guys on this side? Police Officer Freddy's Castro Rivas, and it's POFC Fredys Castro hyphen Rivas, Rivas, 6-year veteran out of District 6. And then Detective Louis Machicote, and I'm going to have him spell that because I can't.
Machicote.
Once they describe what occurred yesterday and beyond, I've got a statement from the father of the victim. The family didn't feel comfortable coming out on camera. I spoke to him over the phone. He didn't have access to a computer, so the best that I could do is get you a statement from the dad, which I can read to you quickly at the end, and we will give you the booking photo at the end as well. So first we'll start off with Officer Castro Rivas explaining what happened yesterday afternoon it began not far from here. Officer.
Yesterday, August 6th, while working secondary employment in Store Valley Village thrift store, a father came to me and seemed a little worried. He couldn't locate his daughter. At this point, we began a search of the store, and it was negative results after a few minutes of looking for the child. He then gave me a description by also showing me a photo that he carried in his cell phone. Without wasting any further time, I then began driving in my car, looking around the stores nearby, while also putting a description and giving the dispatcher information reference to the missing. I checked the premise of 23rd and University approximately 5 minutes later, while having in my head only one thing, which it was the description I had put out. Attempted to locate the daughter of the gentleman. I can only think, what if my daughter was to be missing? What would I do in this case? I had nothing but the image. As I'm patrolling the area of this park in which we're standing, I saw a small silhouette, which appeared to be the same description I have received from the father. The only thing I wanted to do at that time was get to that individual who was holding the hand of the little silhouette, which was our missing, and get to the little girl as well. While I noticed this, the individual was holding the 6-year-old hands while walking in the middle of the park. It took approximately 15 to 20 seconds for me to get from where I was at to the individual and the girl. Contact was made. At this point, the individual let go of the hand of the girl and attempted to walk on his own. I stopped the individual, separated the individual from the girl, and put out more information over the radio reference to what we had. As I approached the little girl, all she had in her eyes were nothing but tears, which once again, it reminded me of my daughter, who was 3 years old. And she seemed very desperate, and the only thing coming out of her mouth was, "I want my daddy, I want my daddy." The only thing I could think of at that point was, she doesn't have her daddy, but she has me, which is the next person in charge out here in the streets. I took charge. I put it in my vehicle to secure her while attempting to identify the suspect or the individual. More units started coming into the scene. I notified the father reference to locating the daughter. He then approached the scene in approximately 3 minutes. He wasn't that far. What caught my attention at this point, and it sometimes every time I say this story in the past 24 hours, it gets me a little sentimental. The fact that he wasn't even able to get out of his car while the girl was running towards him. He started somewhat crying and got down on his knees, hugged the girl, and at this point, the only thing I could say is, it's only one in a million. I've done so many things, I've responded to so many calls, but overall, this was that one in a million where I felt as though if that was my daughter, I'd be so grateful for that officer on what he had done, just the fact that he had found my daughter overall. The investigation was then turned into the detectives and the supervisors and commanders at the scene. And that was all I could testify on.
How much time was it from when you found this suspect and when the girl went missing?
From
How much time are we talking about here?
We're going to let the detective come in and give you some more details about the investigation if you want to do that, and we'll bring the officer back if that works for everybody. Okay, so if we could,
Sure.
detective, come on up, switch spots. And
Afternoon. To answer your question, sir, it's approximately anywhere from about 10 minutes or so. When the call went out, descriptions were given, and the officer locating the missing with the gentleman in the park.
So this suspect, you're saying, sexually assaulted this child within 10 minutes?
No, between the call itself that was put out and the locating of the missing, it's approximately 10 minutes. Prior to that, the girl had been missing for a couple more minutes prior to this officer receiving the notification that the girl was missing.
So less than 30 minutes then?
Yes,
safe
sir.
to say.
Less than 30 minutes. Completely from the time she was missing from her father to the time she was seen at the park.
Point of your investigation, where do you feel the sexual assault occurred? Was it here at the playground or at the Value Village?
The actual sexual assault occurred at the playground area,
Where around here?
at the swing area, and the contact was made in the store.
if we could get back to the July issue.
Details about the assault.
Basically, there's not much that I can release to you other than they did have contact. They were here at the swing set at the time when they were together.
What time of day was that, and were there other people around?
There were people around, and there was the daytime. It was approximately anywhere around 1:30 to 2 o'clock.
If we could let him finish, he'll explain what happened last month.
The same situation that occurred yesterday also occurred last month, where the gentleman who entered the store made contact with a young girl in terms of verbal communication, advised her that he wanted her to come outside and meet his manager, where the girl followed him outside. At that point, she continued to follow him around the building towards the rear and followed him to an address off of Chapman, where at which time he grabbed her and attempted to bring her into a vacant property, and also at which point that she refused and tried to fight him off. He then tried to physically touch her in a private area where she was again fighting him off and was able to escape and run back to the store to alert officers.
Hold on for a second. So we're talking about July 8th?
Yes, sir.
July
9th.
8th.
July
July
9th.
9th. Was there an Amber Alert put out?
No, sir.
Did the parents call police and say, hey, my kid is missing?
The parent did advise officers. There was a secondary officer working there. She did advise the officers. At the point when she advised the officers that the child was missing, that was the point where the child was running back to the store. I don't believe the parent knew that the child was missing at that point in time.
So how did you find out that this child was allegedly sexually assaulted?
Well, one is that,
From what you know.
one is that this defendant here admitted to the incident back on July 9th and gave particulars that also relate to surveillance video that coincides with the story.
Now, are we talking about a serial guy here? I mean, has he done this before besides these two cases?
Besides these two cases, we don't have any other indications that he's done this before.
Are you continuing to ask him questions and perhaps he'll spill the beans in next
At the
week or
present
something?
time, we have interviewed him. We've gotten several information from him. We don't believe he's done this before in terms of a past history besides the one from last month. But we are going to continue to monitor him. If we have to interview him again, we'll do so.
So is he in custody now?
He's in custody,
Okay.
and he's up at the jail.
What was his demeanor?
Very calm, very quiet. He's sort of like a person that doesn't like to speak too much because he's very low tone in terms of his response to our questions. But not one did he try to ignore our questions or be evasive. It kind of appeared to me that he knew he was doing something wrong, but didn't know how to verbally express it.
July 8th, where were the parents of this
July
child?
9th.
July 9th, where were the parents?
One parent was inside the store and she was shopping.
So,
It appeared that as she was shopping and was asking employees questions, that she lost sight of the child because the child walked away and went to the toy section.
what advice can you give other parents watching this who have children who go into stores who are concerned about this?
Well, I tell you right now, keep your child in view. Always keep your child next to you. Make sure that if your child is the type of child that likes to run from you, make sure you hold their hands and make sure they're there with you at all times. There's nothing that could distract you away from your child or shouldn't distract you from your child. That's your number one key right there whenever you're shopping with a small child who, of course, we all know children like to explore and they like to go around the store and look for things. And that's your main key. If you're going to bring your child with you, make sure you hold their hands and keep them at your side.
Got a
Parents of the
statement from
kids
the
in the
father
store.
right now. If you can read that, I'll get you the mugshot. If you have any other
Now,
questions,
is
we'll
this
get
July
to those.
9th or yesterday?
This is regarding yesterday's incident. This is a statement from the father. Out of respect for my wife's wishes to protect our daughter and to put this behind us, we wanted to put out the story, but we want to somehow erase what happened. Regarding Officer Castro Rivas, I want to thank him for the rest of my life. If it wasn't for him, who knows what would happen. I am very grateful. I think he's a true hero. My daughter, we always know something special about her. She's very thoughtful and understanding. She's still being herself. She's being energetic. She did mention that something did happen to her, but she doesn't let that change the way she acts. She told me, "Daddy, I'm not thinking about that." Some family members tell me I'm overprotective with my daughter. People should realize it only takes 30 seconds and your daughter or son would disappear just like that. I turned, looked the other way, and 30, 40 seconds, maybe a minute, she was gone very quickly. My message is 30 seconds is a long time. It's enough time for someone to try and take your daughter. I want to thank all the people at the store who help look. Every time I go out to a store, I see kids hanging around by themselves. People just don't realize how very risky that is. And regarding the suspect, he says, I saw who he is. He looks like a normal person. Nothing weird or anything strange. It was just another person who could be standing right beside you, and you would never know it was a person who could do something like that. This is the mugshot.
The suspect that was arrested yesterday in this incident, his last name is Amofa, A-M-O-F-A. First name Charles. Middle name is A-S-U-M-I-N-G. He's a African-American male and date of birth 8/3 of 1987. August 3rd, 1987. He's from Chillum.
Said the sexual assault occurred on the swings. Is that the swings right behind the swing?
Sure. It didn't occur on the swing. It occurred near the swing area at a tree where they were sitting down.
And you're talking about the one right behind.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Where is it you saw them walking when you came on the scene? Was it over there or where was it?
Towards the to the rear where you're standing, the open field right behind the basketball court, and I was standing right across the bridge at that parking lot. So the whole time while I got into University Boulevard, I would not lose sight of that silhouette who was about, if I was to describe, maybe possibly about an inch and a half from where I was standing. That's how it looked.
So was it kind of in between the basketball and maybe the baseball field?
Yes, sir.
That's where you first spotted them? There?
Yes, sir.
Officer, we cover a lot of these things. I've done a lot over the last 13 years, and this doesn't happen often in which a police officer catches a suspect in this case. I'm sure the other law enforcement officers here can attest to that. What do you say to people who say that you're a hero?
I do my job. And if I do my job, I'm never going to change the trend of the way I work. So if the way I was trained the first day, if I continue doing that throughout my career, nothing is going to change. With us, my FTO is here, not up front, but in his area, and I can see him. And I'm proud to say that now I am part of an FTO program as well.
Detective, can you go over how this suspect was able to lure the girl away? Did he do the same thing? Can you know, to my manager? I'm targeting yesterday.
Similar. Yesterday was he lured the girl out the store by offering that he had a toy outside that he wanted to show her, and she in turn followed him out. Basically, he's a soft-spoken guy. Tries to become friends with the kids to gain their attention.
Did he do the same type of thing on July 9th?
Yes, sir. He, She was 8 years old, sir.
How old was the girl yesterday?
6 years old, sir.
Why did it take so long? If this happened July 9th, there was no word put out to the public that sexual predator might be on the loose.
We didn't have actual information at that time. We were still going over the video surveillance, trying to find out more information about the suspect, who can identify. There's not much I can speak on that case because there's a separate detective working on that. So I don't know how further he got into that case, whether or not information was put out or not.
And in all fairness, piggyback off what she's saying, what do you say to folks who question if this could have been prevented yesterday in relation to what happened on July 9th?
Well, we do work hard upstairs to get the information out as quick as possible. It does take us time. We do go out and speak to citizens to see whether or not they have contact, ever met this person, whether they know this person from the neighborhood. And sometimes it's becomes very difficult because a lot of people don't like speaking to us. So.
And that child did not convey to the parents saying I was sexually, or he had tried to touch me, correct?
In terms of that, I'm not sure because I was not the detective on that call. But my understanding is that she provided a statement to the detectives reference that incident.
Now, with that particular case, to be specific, that was an attempt, correct?
Correct.
So there was no physical contact thus far.
Correct.
Is that correct?
As far as we know right now, there's going to be follow-up interviews. Now that we know that this incident was a little bit more involved, we're going to be going back and speaking with that other victim who's not in the area right now and just following up, make sure there wasn't. But there was no indications at that time.
I think one more point that it's important to get across, and then we'll
To
let you
answer
go.
your question in terms of how he lured her, as well, just to kind of distract her, he was stating that he knows her father, he will contact her father, let her know he's okay. So that's the way to gain her trust in him for her to come outside.
And what was the father doing? The father lost sight of her?
The father just lost sight. He was shopping and lost sight of her.
Why did he choose the Value Village? Was he an employee there, a former
No,
employee?
he's a regular customer that goes there and shops.
What store was that?
Value Village thrift store.
It's on University.
2277 University Boulevard.
From here, that's what, half a mile?
Quarter of a mile.
Quarter of
probably.
a mile.
All right.
You wanna go there?
Yeah, we've got kidnapping. What'd you do with that? This is in reference to yesterday. Kidnapping, first and second degree sex offense, second degree assault, and child abuse.
Can you say the last part again, please?
Kidnapping, first and second degree sex offense, second degree assault, and child abuse. Do you have charges for the July 9th incident?
The July 9th incident is also kidnapping and second degree assault and also fourth degree sex offense.
You said he admitted to that.
Correct.
Confess to yesterday as well?
He confessed to both yesterday and the July 9th as well.
Are you guys, I know it's too early to tell, but I still have to ask. Are you guys releasing the surveillance video on July 9th or the one from yesterday?
We're working on getting it to you right now. It'll be one copy, so you all let us know what the best way is to share that with you. I'll try to get an ETA for you now.
Now, was that going to be from July 9th and yesterday, or just?
Just July 9th. We are working on trying to obtain a copy from yesterday's incident.
All set?
Yes, sir. Oh, yes.